We are all aware that nightmares are a common symptom of trauma and PTSD. What I want to demonstrate today is that they actually are the PTSD and represent the unprocessed traumatic memories in the mind. They are therefore a hallmark and core perpetuating symptom, and their resolution can lead to rapid improvements to sleep and PTSD. And if they are the PTSD, it therefore makes sense to try to resolve nightmares before commencing standard PTSD treatment, which is more efficient and follows Janet's principle of stabilization before processing, except that resolving nightmares also promotes natural healing of trauma through dreaming. Although nightmare treatments such as exposure and rescripting have a solid evidence base and have been around for 30 years, little treatment innovation other than combining techniques in different ways, such as exposure, relaxation, and rescripting therapy, which, although effective, is multi-sessional and requires exposure, which can be problematic for military veterans. My research has focused on an enhanced and innovative version of nightmare rescripting or image rehearsal therapy, taught in a single 2-hour group session called Planned Dream Interventions. Nightmares are more significant than perhaps we first think, especially for military populations. Disturbed sleep impacts virtually all those who fail to recover from trauma, and bodily symptoms such as fighting, sweating, and screaming have been described by Van der Kolk as more prevalent in military veterans, as this quote illustrates. Many nights have been disturbed by violent nightmares and sudden outbursts. I've woken up to find his arms around my neck and have been lucky enough to kick him out of what I can only describe as a hypnotic-like trance. I've been kicked out of bed, stopped punches, and witnessed his horror on waking up to find me disheveled and shocked. So, what differentiates this approach from others? Well, firstly, psychoeducation provides a compelling reason for why we dream after trauma, how a nightmare represents a stuck dream, and that if the dream process can be allowed to complete, then the nightmares stop, trauma clears up, and restful sleep follows. This is achieved by kickstarting the dream process by making a dream intervention. This is a brief rescript that contains a single idea, is completely unconstrained, but must feel good at a gut level. So for examples, if you had nightmares of being caught in an avalanche, you might wake up at the point of being overtaken by snow and buried alive. The dream intervention is created in advance to kickstart the dream with a sense of mastery. So pulling ahead to win in a running race to rapturous applause may very well be effective as long as it feels good. Focusing on this when going to sleep and thinking, this is what I want to happen in my dream, is all that's required to prime the dream process. And if it doesn't work, simply a new idea is created. The importance of the positive emotion is critical, as it is this that propels the intervention into the dream. Better explanation and clearer guidance all increase the likelihood of effective interventions over traditional nightmare rescripts, which although can be successful, may not be as focused or as specific as PDI. And finally, severe sleep disturbance with no dream recall is more common than currently recognized, probably because it cannot be treated and may not even be viewed as a nightmare. 17% of the veterans in my study experienced no dream recall, but dramatic sleep disturbance such as lashing out, shouting, and sweating. Interventions can be created to resolve these sensations or emotions, and strange as it sounds, imagining standing in a wind tunnel can actually stop night sweats. A pragmatic randomized control trial design compared a 2-hour standard sleep hygiene session with PDI, using pre-post measures for sleep, nightmares, and PTSD, and multiple sessions were conducted across the UK. Participants typically had chronic issues of a long-standing nature, including PTSD. The results demonstrated large effect sizes for improvements to sleep, reductions in nightmares, and PTSD that were sustained at 3 months. And 30% of my PDI group actually had clinically significant reductions in their PTSD scores as measured through the IES. Although further independent validation of this research is required, there's considerable opportunity for development, which, for example, could include integrating this with PTSD treatment and also as a preventative approach for those exposed to trauma. And also the creation of an app that could use animations that could be disseminated cheaply to millions of people. In fact, the 500 million people across the world suffering from nightmares right now. And all of this could contribute to the global eradication of nightmares, which I believe is possible in the same way that smallpox was eradicated. Nightmares can also be deadly, with links to increased risk of suicide, particularly with young men, and the use of app-based approaches could help make this goal a reality. Who wants to join me? Thank you.